For ambitious Starfleet officers, there are certain costs involved. We must be cautious of long-term commitments, Wesley.
No problem. Where women are concerned, I am in complete control.
Hello everyone, just editing Maggie popping in before we begin here. Unfortunately, my audio for this episode is severely compromised. I made a very big error and set it to the wrong microphone, so I just want to apologize. However, the issue was fixed after this episode. I hope that you can still enjoy it regardless, but I do very much apologize. And now, on to the episode. Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 2 episode, Samaritan Snare. Original air date, May 13th, 1989. And as always, we'll go to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so the ship is flying to Epsilon 9 sector for an astrological survey of a new pulsar cluster. Yeah, I had to write that down because I don't really understand what any of that means.
You don't know what a pulsar is?
No.
Oh,
or
space
an
thing.
ecological survey?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to see something in space.
They're going to see some space shit, all right?
Which they never get to, because they never do.
Yes.
So, and meanwhile, Wes is going to Starbase 515 for exams. And Picard is like pretty psyched to see the cluster, but he's in a meeting with Dr. P, who is like very vague on whatever's going on with him, but she's like, you should get that, you should need to do your procedure, and he's angry, and he's like, it's inappropriate for you to do the procedure, and he's grumpy, and she's like, you need to go to the starbase to do this, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then they talk about that, he's like, oh, it's like image and ego, and I'm like, what the fuck is he getting replaced that is so like messing with his ego? Like, is his face? I don't know, I don't get it. He is also so grumpy and so mad that when he tells Riker that he's going with Wes, he doesn't make eye contact with Riker, and Riker immediately is like, something's up. So he follows him into his ready room. I think that's the first time I used that term. Guess who's learning? And he's like, you were so looking forward to this trip. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to do this for personal reasons.
Yeah. No, he doesn't even say that. He's like, it's a matter of image. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, he's so mad.
Yeah. He doesn't fucking explain it all. Yeah.
It's so funny how
Yeah,
mad
like, that's super vague.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then go to Wes, who's like, in my opinion, one of the funniest and most accurate things I've heard in this whole series. Wes is worried about spending time alone in the shuttle with Picard. Because he's like, what are we going to talk about? Like, that's so good. That's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, God, he hates you so much, Wes. Oh. So those two guys jet off in the shuttlecraft. Meanwhile, they get like a mayday from Rhomboid Dronagar Sector 6, a ship unidentified, distressed, nothing more. And whatever this distress signal is, like, they will have to like go farther away from Picard, which is like, yeah, but he's got a shuttle, like, he'll get back. Why is this like such a thing to Riker? Like, oh no, they'll be farther. Okay, they've all got vehicles, they can all get back to each other. Calm down. So then we see on the screen, we meet the Packlids, who are these aliens, I guess, with like interesting choices in eyebrows.
They're very clearly aliens.
Yeah. They're definitely characters. However, Riker, Data, and Worf take 0 times to talk shit about them real quick. It's like, you guys, like, they totally underestimate these guys and just like talk shit immediately. But they say that there's something wrong on their ship, so they decide to send Geordi over because Geordi is a genius and he's wonderful and magical and fantastic and he can fix anything, and I believe in him.
Well, there is an important detail in that the Packlids sound
we look
very,
for things.
Yeah, they sound very stupid.
Yeah, they don't sound yeah. They're also, their motto is we look for things that make it go.
Yeah.
And they say we need things, and it's yeah, tell me about it. We all need things, bro. So, Picard. So now we go to the shuttle. Picard and Wesley are sitting there. Picard is reading his book while Wesley's driving, and I'm like, it's a little rude. I mean, it's just the two of you there. And real quick, Picard is already shitting on Wes because Wes isn't familiar with philosophy or some book or whatever. And as it turns out, Picard needs a heart replacement, which I was surprised, and also not sure why this is an image issue, as heart is interior, and is anybody gonna be like, a heart replacement? Oh my god, I think less of you, Picard, because you have a different heart? What? Is this a taboo in this universe that organ replacement is so
It's kind of a man thing.
Well, I think it's that he doesn't want to seem weak in front of the crew. He doesn't want to seem like he's mortal in front of the crew. He wants to. I think in Picard's philosophy, he thinks the captain should project this sort of invincibility because how else are people gonna follow you and stuff like that. So
I mean, actions are good, but who am I?
Well, that's why Dr. P's she's oh, so you do have an ego.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to look weak in front of people.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a dumb reason.
So meanwhile, Picard is bullying Wesley on his lack of knowledge. Back on the ship, they've sent Geordi over to the other ship, and Troy comes in and she's like, what in the French toast fuck is happening here? And why is Geordi over there? Because she senses something off. They are not being truthful. And also my first thought is, why did you send Geordi alone?
Yeah. And even Worf is
because that just seems like a stupid choice.
Worf legitimately had good points.
Yeah, he's do we really have to send the chief engineer over there?
Or just, it was just not a good idea. I expect more in you, Riker.
Yeah. Oh, and
just
then, and then, because Deanna's oh my god, they're, he's in real danger. And then they message Geordi, and he's like, nah, I'm fine, it's all good.
Yeah.
And they're like, see, crazy woman, you had nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I think I wrote in my notes, I thought, all of a sudden, it's really weird that, Riker would question Troy like this.
Yeah.
When he knows how much Picard values her input, and also Riker has been pretty open to her input up until this exact point where he's oh no, he's fine. Also, this might just be of the technical bit of it all, but even if Geordi was in peril, they need to get some kind of earpieces for their communication, because it sounds like everything's on speaker. So if he's yeah, everything's great,
if he's in a hostage situation, he might not.
Yeah. So if Riker's saying something and he has a thing in his ear, then he can make some kind of signal because the other people around him don't know what is being said to him. Also weirdly convenient that there's screens fucking everywhere in this the other ship. Yeah. It seems like every 5 seconds.
I took a note of that while we were watching, and I'm just why are they watching the entire procedure that he's doing on their big screen TV on the bridge? What the fuck?
Yeah.
This has never happened before, and I don't think it ever happens again.
Or, one thing that's, that transponder that, Worf gave Riker a few episodes back?
Yeah.
Why isn't that just standard?
Yep.
Yeah.
To have an emergency transport back? Or or at least something that signals an alarm that it's I'm in trouble.
Oh yeah. That it just seemed kind of, I don't want to say sloppy, but
it was
sloppy.
Yeah.
They just like, yep, Geordi, these people seem harmless with absolutely no proof they are harmless. Just like, because we talk so much shit about them, they're clearly less than us. So it's cool. What are they going to do? No, Riker, don't underestimate people, aliens, things.
Yeah.
Minerals, vegetables, etc. So, yeah, it's a poor idea. And then, okay, back on the shuttle, Wesley's like, Picard, I think I know why you hate me so much. And Picard is like, what? And Wesley's like, it's because you don't like children. And I burst out laughing because, I'm sorry, Wes. I refuse to believe the reason why Picard is so, like, cold and frosty to, like, Wesley is because he's a child. He's also, like, a teenager. He's, 17 at this point?
Yeah.
I refuse. If Wesley wants to believe that to make himself feel better, go for it. But false. I do not believe for 1 second that's why Picard is, like, weird around Wesley. And nothing
Maybe
will
it's
change
because
my
you
mind.
drunkenly took over his ship.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I know Wes and Picard's conversations were very funny to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're back on, man, there's so much back and forth. This episode felt like it was like 16 hours.
Yeah, it's a very dense episode.
Yeah. Okay, so back
Just like the pack lads.
Heyo.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're back at the Enterprise. Jordan gets fucking stunned, like laser stunned by the pack. They like do some like swift moves and gets his phaser and just like, yep, they keep fucking stunning him. And I wrote, what? Bitch just stunned Geordi? I will kill them if they harm Geordi. That's my notes. That was really upsetting. And also, look, Riker, this is what happens when you don't fucking listen to Troy.
Or Worf.
Or Worf. And, okay, so maybe I should have done this in, like, Picard, Wesley, and you know what? We're too into this. It's too late. We're going back
too far.
Okay, so now back on the shuttlecraft. This exchange is wonderful. Picard offers Wes a sandwich, and my first thought was, what the fuck's in this sandwich? I'm like actually like not like is it like I actually want to know what kind of fucking sandwich they have in space. Like what sandwich is this? It's also the whitest bread I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So they're like sitting, chatting, bonding over a sandwich, and then Wes is like, "Have you ever been married?" And he's like, "No." And like, "Aren't you lonely?" And Picard, wow. Okay.
He completely deflects.
So I'm gonna try to like. Yeah, he does say that, like, you know, for ambitious, you know, what is it? Oh, officers, there's, like, you need to be cautious with, like, long-term commitments. And he's like, oh, and Wesley's like, I don't have I'm in all the control with women. And Picard is like, oh, okay.
What he said is,
Okay,
where
Wes.
women are concerned, I have complete control. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
When have you ever displayed confidence with women?
Yeah, I mean, Picard, because Picard responds with, really? I always rather had to work at that. And that was very funny to me.
All right, I brought up the scene again, and Picard's sandwich is definitely a cucumber sandwich.
Oh.
But I can't tell what Wesley's is. It's definitely different. I think it might be like...
Oh, 2 sandwiches.
It's the inside is more like pinkish and stuff. It might be ham or tuna.
So it's like lunch meat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cold
maybe
cuts.
it's a tuna club.
Yeah. Because these are definitely
Tuna club.
these are definitely tea sandwiches because they have it's the crustless bread
Yes.
or the crust is cut off.
I don't think I've ever had a tea sandwich.
Sorry, I just had to.
No,
After
this
you
is
mentioned
the
it.
information we want. No, this is our fact checking. We want this.
Somebody put a lot of thought into that on set design, and it was not going to be seen until they knew that they were making everything in HD decades later.
Yeah. Well, they probably asked like Patrick Stewart and Will Wheaton, like, what sandwiches do you want for this scene?
Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see that.
Oh yeah, they're definitely tea sandwiches because Picard's having his tea.
He is having his tea.
Sorry,
Okay,
guys.
so then,
Continue.
no. This was a good detour. We wanted this information. I stated I wanted this information.
Actually, it was a good tea tour.
Okay,
You're
so now
welcome.
Picard. So now Picard tells us this absolutely wild story. When he was young, he was just kind of a wild, cocky youth, and he went to. His voice changes when he mentions this place. He's explained sort of like it was an idea of what he was when he was younger, when he first joined Starfleet, and then he mentions the Bonestell Recreation Facility, which he calls a dead, rough crossroads filled with an assorted bunch of galactic riffraff. I'm interested. Continue.
Yeah.
Basically, Picard was there with friends, and he decided to, like, I guess, like, provoke or fight with these, like, other species aliens or something. It started with an N. I can't remember what it was called.
Nausicaans. They're basically like Klingon Extreme.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Jesus.
Yeah.
So Picard says that he picked a fight, insulted these people, their pals, his planet, and a passing reference to his questionable parentage. And I wrote, who the fuck is this? This isn't Picard? What the hell?
Well, this is Picard at like 20.
That's wild, though.
Yeah.
I don't think I could picture Picard behaving that way, but I mean, I just know adult Picard. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so he gets into this fight. It's him versus 3 of these guys, and he ends up very casually stating that he got impaled in his back, and whatever this weapon was went through his front and went through his heart, and he was very lucky that there was like a hospital nearby and he was saved, otherwise he would have died. He's very chill with talking about how he was impaled.
Yeah.
Which is very funny to me.
Yeah. I think that might have been on purpose to show that, like, in the future, this type of injury is, like, it's a big deal, but it's not, like, as big a deal as it is right now. Because if you get stabbed through the heart, there's basically nothing you can do at this point in time. Unless you, like, I think maybe they can give you a heart transplant. I don't know. But pretty much there's nothing you can do.
It's not my area of expertise, so I can't say. The medical corner, guys, this is our opinions on what you think about organ replacement. And if you could survive this and this. Okay, so I'm just like, Christ, my notes are wild. We'll just continue with Picard and Wesley stuff for a little bit. Okay, basically, it sort of wraps up with Picard and Wesley. They get to the starbase, and Picard and Wesley are like, we had a good time. This was nice. And then Wesley's like, I need to make sure you go through the door. Dr. P asked me to. And he's like, Dr. P. So Picard does go in and does his surgery. They go into the surgery. We see this operating room. And you guys, this was, I think, the worst costume.
Yep.
They're in red. They're in, like, blood red, like,
Oh, it won't even
head
be
to
the first time
toe.
you see these, by the way.
I
Yeah.
can't
Or it
even
won't be the last time,
describe. I cannot describe how much I hate these costumes.
Yeah. If you've ever seen, oh shit, what's it called again? There's a Cronenberg movie where they wear very similar outfits.
Oh, the Phantom Menace.
Oh God. The hats kind of remind me of, like, nun habit things, minus the, like, top blanket. I don't know what it's called. If that makes sense.
They don't have, like,
Yeah.
the veil part.
Veil, yes.
Yeah.
Top blanket. God.
Also, you notice all that work to make sure that, like, all of their body is covered so they can't contaminate the procedure and they don't wear face masks?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I also was thinking, are they all wearing blood in case they get, like, splashed? Splashed
That's a
some
problem.
outfits, and, like, the blood just blends in with their outfit.
Oh, there we are.
I don't know. The outfits are very creepy.
Yeah, I did not like them. They were... I did not like it. I did not like it. And so they're doing the surgery, and the doctor makes a note to say, this is real routine, this is real easy, everybody will be home for dinner.
As soon as he says that, my first thought is, oh, right, there's going to be something going wrong because he just said that.
Don't promise people will be home for dinner.
Oh, Dead Ringers, I think, is the movie I was thinking of. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Like, don't promise people dinner and then have them miss dinner. That is the ultimate betrayal. Don't play with people's dinner.
Yeah.
So, of course, they do miss dinner because there is a complication, which, of course, how could we have seen that coming? And they need to call another person to help, and they're like, oh, no, I can't help with this. We need to call another person to help. And who's that other person? Dr. P.
The greatest doctor in history.
Yeah. He was like, I thought we talked about this, and she's like, surprise, I did it anyways, because apparently I'm the only one in the whole fucking universe who can do this.
Yep.
So Picard's fine. He gets back on the ship, and he's like, I'm good. Shut up. Everybody just, like, move on. Nothing happened. I'm good. I'm fine. Let's party. Now back to Geordi. So what are they called?
Packlids.
Packlids, right. So they want Geordi to, like, make weapons and shit. I don't know. It's all really convoluted and kind of stupid. So the short version is that, like, Riker wants to do a ruse and sort of tells him, like, says the number 24 a fuck ton of times and, like, says some stuff that isn't true. And Geordi takes him a second to pick up on it, but he gets the message. And basically they, like, say we're going to set up, like, the photon torpedoes or whatever and, like, fire at Enterprise. So Geordi does that, and then, like, Riker says, oh, we're gonna, like, shoot you guys also in, like, 24 seconds. And I first was like, 24 seconds? What kind of fucking number is that? And then I was like, they said 24 1,000 times earlier, so they know what 24 is. But also, like, 24? Why pick 24? I don't know. Anyways.
Why not?
So at the 24-second mark, Geordi then secretly disables the torpedoes, and then Riker and Ensign Gomez, like, shoot out glitter? Pink powder glitter shit? I don't know. It, like, looks pretty, I guess, but it really does nothing. And they're like, so the Packlids are like, oh, I guess we're defeated. And they're like, yep, I guess you gotta send Geordi back now. And they're like, yeah, I guess. And so they get Geordi back, and they're like, we did it. I was like, you guys are all idiots.
Yep.
And then, yeah, also, by this point, by the time they're like, okay, we have to get Geordi, like, they had to get Geordi before. Oh, yeah. There was also a bit where the Packlids are like, yeah, it's either we kill Geordi or you give us all your computer information. I'm like, wow, what an interesting
demand?
Ultimatum.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Also found it, like, kind of weird that there was, like, 2 lives at stake at this episode, but also not, because, like, Geordi and then Picard, because at the same time Geordi is in peril, so is, like, Picard's, like, dying on the operating table. So, like, the Enterprise hears, okay, we have to head over to Picard because he's dying. So they're like, oh, we best hurry our asses to get Geordi back here. Mm-hmm. They get Geordi back. They go to get Picard. Everybody's fine. The end. There's so much that happens in this episode, and yet can't remember fucking any of it. I had to keep looking at my notes.
Yeah, this episode is weird because it's like the Packlid half is just so fucking stupid, but I actually really like the Wesley Picard stuff. I thought that was like...
Yeah, but that's only like a third of the episode in the end.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of quotes that I liked from this episode.
Mm.
There was a lot of exchanges and stuff from this that I enjoyed.
Fun fact, the director has spoken a little bit about this episode, and I'm not quoting him when I say this, but he basically thinks that this episode was his Idiocracy. So...
Oh my god.
No.
Yeah. So he thought it was like a really, really, like, on point social commentary, and I'm just like, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's fucking bludgeoning you in the face.
Yeah, it's real dumb.
It is.
Okay, just because I can't live the rest of my life until I point this out, but in our Star Trek group chat on Discord, I put in a picture of the doctors from the Cronenberg movie, Dead Ringers, and I want you both to go look at it because they are very, very similar to what they use in this episode.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh.
I hate it.
Oh, gee. I mean, at least they have face masks, though.
Yeah. The thing is, Dead Ringers is a fucking horror movie with a lot of body horror in it. And so every time I see, because they use these outfits again in Star Trek, they kind of become the default, like, medical, like, surgery outfits, but I always associate this fucking horror movie with it.
I mean, fair. Every time that we see them, you should be terrified.
Also, this movie came out in 1988.
Oh.
Yeah, so before this episode.
Ah. Well.
Looks like somebody's a Cronenberg fan somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely am. I love body horror. But yeah, I have always needed to point that out to... I've always wanted to point that out to somebody.
I did quite enjoy the fact that the main doctor in the surgery room was always, like, really over-dramatic about stuff, but in, like, a kind of corny way. So, like, the way that he delivers the "we'll be home in time for dinner" line is... It seems like it came out of, like, a fucking Saturday afternoon, like, crappy show that's just on. And then the way that he delivers the "I can't save this man," and he's, like, staring right into the camera for it, and I just... Oh, my God. It's like they scooped this guy off of, like, a soap opera or something.
Yeah. I hate that the writers, like, just telegraphed the whole thing. They're, like, they made a point to be like, oh, we'll be home in time for fucking dinner or whatever. It's obviously gonna go wrong if you say that shit.
Yep.
That's just how, like TV and movies work. It was just really obvious that something was gonna go wrong.
I don't know if it's other things that I've been watching lately or what, but the way that this whole episode hits, like, Season 2 and Season 1 already kind of, like, hit you in the face with their social commentary with just, like, how not subtle it is. But this one, I think, is really, like, a shining star of that entire approach. It is just... Yeah. It is bludgeoning you in the face as hard as it can. And in the end, it doesn't even have much of a point, which makes it land flat.
Yeah. And, like, it's so obvious the commentary they're making with the pack lads. It's just like, oh, they're too stupid for their, to know how to deal with their technology, and they want more and more and more without understanding it. And they've become militant, and... You know, they're just blindly, like, collecting technology they don't know how to use. And it's like, okay, I get it. We live in a society.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And I also have some, at least, okay, I have a couple issues, but at least Data does point out that they could just have poorly developed communication, like language skills, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're stupid. Which, like, I'm glad he pointed that out, because that is true in real life. Oftentimes, like, we assume if someone has poor verbal communication skills, we assume that they're unintelligent.
Yes.
Which is not true for many reasons.
And we've got the vice versa, where it's, you know, people who like to sound like they're a good speaker. They sound authoritative, but they're absolute fucking morons.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
Yep. So the issue I have is that they play into the fat equals stupid trope.
Yes.
It's like, if you notice, every single pack lead was overweight.
Yep.
And it's just like, ugh. It's just frustrating. I know it is like the 80s and they're not, like, thinking about that, but it's just annoying because it's still, like, a stereotype to this day that it's like, and full disclosure, like, I am a fat woman, so this does, like, affect me personally. So you could accuse me of being biased or whatever, but it's just like, you see it a lot, and you see like people assume that you're dumb because you're overweight. It was just annoying to see that in a Star Trek episode.
Yeah. But I mean, also, like, they underestimated these guys, and I mean, they also can't be that stupid if they've got all this tech from all these other people.
Yeah.
And they managed to hide most of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like taking hostages is kind of their, like, deal. So I wonder what happened to their previous hostages.
Well, unfortunately, we won't find out, because the only other time that the Packlids show up in any meaningful way throughout the rest of Star Trek is in an episode of Lower Decks.
And they're in Birth of the Federation game.
Yeah, but that's a game, okay? Games aren't real.
You're not real.
I mean, TV
Wait,
shows aren't
what?
real either, but games aren't real, Maggie.
Games aren't real?
Yeah.
What? My whole life has been a lie.
Games are real. Take it back.
Hey, did anyone else notice that the starbase was just on a planet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
It was
little-
actually, it was pretty.
It was, but it's a really strange place to have a
Star
base that is specifically for, a space military on a planet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't object to them having a base on a planet, but calling it a star base is incorrect.
Yeah, it's like having naval command in Nevada.
Yeah. So to get to the stuff I liked, like I said, I really liked the Picard and Wesley stuff, because Wesley also asks like the most bizarre questions too. Because like almost out of nowhere, he just asks like, "Have you ever been married?" And then he asks like, "Have you ever wanted kids yourself?" Which Picard also deflects that question. He says
he
like,
does.
"Wishing for a thing doesn't make it so," and it's like, that's not an answer.
It's like, oh, you said make it so. Oh.
Yeah. Although it's really sweet. The way the conversation goes, it's like, there's no way Picard's not his father. Like,
Well, especially when Wesley says, "You would have made a good father." And
Yeah.
Picard's just like, "Thank you," and then walks away like
Yeah.
very unceremoniously, and it's like, oh, Picard, you know something, and you're not
Yeah.
saying it.
yeah,
Uh,
you're definitely avoiding it.
there was a bit where, like, Wes says that he thinks that Picard would have preferred Riker to be his travel companion.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote, no, your mom.
I think it kind of, like, their whole conversation about that comes down to what Yondu said in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Picard may be his father, but he's not his daddy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that makes sense, because he also does treat Wesley like shit sometimes.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're watching this episode, I'd say just skip over the Packlet scenes on your Netflix. Like, just fucking skip. Just fucking scroll to the next part.
So I have an even hotter take. If you're watching this episode, don't. Just don't.
Listen.
Try to find the Wesley Picard clips on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
exactly.
worth it for those bits. Yeah, but the other, and then they try to set up this like conflict in that like, oh, we're gonna be further away from Picard. Oh no, Picard's on death's door, but we can't leave because Geordi's on the other ship. But it's like they're a couple minutes away from executing their plan, so it doesn't really interfere with anything. And the fact that they're a little bit further away also doesn't make a difference.
I actually, I have a question regarding that. Was there a scene that I missed in which they contacted the Enterprise and told them, "Yo, we need you"?
I think they just say
Worf, I think Worf at one point says, "Hey, we've just received an emergency summons from the
Yes.
Starbase."
It's like the
No.
captain's
So I
dying.
remember that. But the thing is that he doesn't say why they've received these emergency summons. He just
Yeah, he
says
does.
that. Does he?
Yeah,
He
at
says the
some-
captain's dying or something.
Yeah, at some point, someone says that Captain Picard is close to death.
Okay, so I don't remember that exact moment, which is why I was super confused that Deanna was like, Captain Picard needs us, and I'm like, did they say that? Like, did we see that on screen? I don't remember seeing it on screen, that's why.
Yeah, someone did say that at some point, but I don't remember exactly when.
Okay. Sucks in the end that, like, Wesley's whole success with Starfleet there was just an afterthought to the episode.
Yeah.
Like, tossed in a single line in the coda.
Well, I think, like, because the story wasn't really about that. It was really just a means to get him and Picard alone together.
I know that. It's just the issue is that the series at this point has placed a lot of importance on Wesley's exams.
Mm-hmm.
He just passed them, and it's barely important at all.
Yeah, it's weird, too, because it's not an exam to get into the academy. It's like, hey, he took the test, and now he can continue studying on the Enterprise. What?
Yeah, what? He took the test and is now allowed to take another test at some point. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like going from an unpaid internship to like a bit of a paid internship.
Yeah.
To a slave wage part-time job.
Yeah.
I'd actually like to pivot for a moment to a couple of there were a couple of moments in this episode. The episode managed to pull me out of my suspension of disbelief, not because of the bad episode, not because of the terrible dialogue and moments like that, but specifically the props. The prop work in this episode is just not good.
Yeah. Except for the sandwiches.
Yeah, that's true. Sandwiches were fantastic. I would have eaten them.
Also, I got another glimpse of Wesley's sandwich, and there's definitely some kind of cold cut in there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I'm reminded of a moment where Geordi is repairing part of the ship towards the end of it, and he ends up putting down his toolkit, but he's clearly still trying to hold the toolkit up because as he's putting it down, he briefly looks around for a moment to like a flat spot on this prop to put it down, and there isn't one. So as he's like leaning down to do work, his hand is still on the toolkit, just trying to hold it from falling over. And I'm like, guys, you could have cleared it. You would have saved the actor this many seconds. But yeah, so that was a thing. And then the bio bed that Picard is in has all of this like shitty colored plastic on it that clearly serves no purpose, and they're just plastic rectangles.
Yeah.
And they're just there. They don't even look like cheap sci-fi. They look like cheap in general.
I like that piece of plastic they put on his forehead.
Oh yes, forehead and temple thingies that they put on them for medical stuff. That's a very common thing in Star Trek, and you'll see a lot of it.
Yeah, so they already had those.
Yes.
Also, okay, one other thing I wanted to bring up, it's like Picard basically says that he has like a specific reason why he doesn't want or he has a reason why he doesn't want Dr. Pulaski specifically to be the one doing the procedure, and they never really explain why.
He also says it's inappropriate, which is like at the beginning I was like, what is this that he... Once I found it was a heart, I was like, how inappropriate is, like, I don't get it. Why would that be inappropriate? It's your heart. It's not...
Yeah, I still don't understand. Like, yeah, if you had the procedure done on the ship, like, you could have very easily kept it quiet, I think.
Yeah, you definitely could have.
Yeah, maybe he didn't trust her to do that, or... I don't know. It just... I'm still confused as to why he didn't want her specifically to work on him.
I also think it's interesting that she happens to be the best and only person who can do this, apparently, in everywhere, and she was there to, like, at the beginning?
I don't think it's implied that she's the best. Because the doctor says, like, I'm not qualified to do this thingy, right? And then the other guy's like, I know someone who is. And I imagine that the Enterprise is still probably the closest, like, ship.
I mean, that's gotta be because they went even farther away, so they must, like...
Yeah, but
there's no
like,
one else? What if this is, like, a base that does, like, surgeries and shit, then, like, you would have thought there'd be people who have some kind of more extensive, because what if this happened and it wasn't Picard, or what if they weren't close? Who would they call?
Well, I think this was like a rare, unique thing to happen, whatever the medical issue was. I forget. Doesn't matter. It's just plot device. Yeah, I think it does come off like she's like the best and only person, but I think what they meant to do is like she's the closest qualified person to do this.
To me, it just is like, if you are a base like this that does surgery, have like a whole medical center, I would think you'd want someone who like has that kind of expertise, that they wouldn't have to, because they were like far away, because they were even farther than they were initially, right? So that just like kind of seems like irresponsible that they wouldn't have someone with these abilities on premises already, that they have to be like, okay, let's who's around, because what if like she wasn't around? Like, the convenient, yeah, she was, but what if they weren't as close? Then what? They would have just let the patient die? Like, how, or they would just, like, what would they have done? It's just, like, I get they wanted to bring Pulaski also back in there to be like, ta-da! But, I don't know. To me, it's just, like, it's weak.
Yeah.
It is
It's an
extremely
excuse.
weak.
It's an excuse to get her in there, but it's also just, like...
It's definitely, like, not well written the way they had it.
And there's a lot of things in this episode that are not well written. But this is the last appearance of engineer, what's her name?
Oh, Gomez?
That's the one.
Ah, okay. Oh, so she was basically in exactly 2 episodes.
Yes. Yeah, they planned to have her for more, and I don't know, they just didn't.
Yeah.
I think she actually, she was fine in this episode. I mean, she wasn't in it a lot,
Yes.
but like, I actually was like, oh, she's totally fine. I had no issues with her this episode.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And then they got rid of her.
Yeah.
Which is like, honestly, too bad.
Yeah. If they continued on with the character, I feel like she might have been like a decent addition.
Yeah. As like a side character, the way that some other ones who come up occasionally in the series are, but like
more of a tertiary character.
Yeah. I do understand why they didn't try to repeat anything with her later on, because in the end, Geordi doesn't get that many episodes where he's not dealing with engineering stuff, and where you need like another engineer in order to cover for him for whatever reason. So, I mean, that's probably why they didn't bother with her again, because they just didn't have a use for her anymore. And then after it had been long enough, they just said fuck it and didn't worry about her anymore anyway.
Yep.
It would have been nice, though, to have like another woman
Yes,
in
definitely.
the cast there.
Well, good news. You won't.
Yeah. Especially in like engineering, which is like seen as like a masculine
It's a male-dominated field. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yep.
All right, so we should probably get on to favorite moments, or just whatever you haven't gotten a chance to bring up yet.
Oh, I definitely have a favorite moment. Literally every time Picard closes his book, because he does not bookmark that shit at all.
Yeah, doesn't even dog ear it.
Oh, that's like my worst. I can't do that, because all I would do would be worried that I wouldn't remember what page number I was on.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've said multiple times, I like the Picard Wesley stuff, but my specific favorite is the moment where they're sitting down for sandwiches, and Picard tells him the story of like how he had to get his heart replaced.
A very important part of Picard's character.
Yeah, it's also like a really cute, nice bonding moment between the two of them.
It is.
Yeah, because like Picard, I like how Picard describes his impalement, if you will.
Heyo.
So he goes, it was a curious sensation, actually. Not much pain. Shock, certainly, at the sight of a serrated metal sticking through my chest. A certain giddy warmth. In fact, I do actually remember that I laughed out loud, and I just wrote, lol.
He lolled.
Well, it pierced my heart, of course. Of course. Cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple of lines I liked in this. One is, I'll kind of do it, I guess, in order. At the beginning, Wes is going to do his exams, and Data goes, do not be apprehensive, Wes. I found the academy examinations quite elementary. And then Wes goes, you would. Next this is so minor, but I rewatched it like 6 times. Worf goes, what about weapons?
What about them?
He just, the W pronunciation is like, I think it's so funny when people pronounce W's like that.
Oh,
and I know
with
it's
the
like
H, yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the time it's accidental because there's been another thing in this, I don't remember which episode
I'm
it was.
saying what way?
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but there's something, another line in the show at some point where somebody pronounced it like that.
Yeah.
And it's really subtle, but yeah, Worf goes, what about weapons? Okay, this is a line I liked in earnest. Like, it's not like a jokey line. So, after, I think this is like I think it's right before Picard and Wesley, like, arrive at the hospital or something. Picard goes, open your mind to the past. Art, history, philosophy. And all this may mean something. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
deep.
That was a really nice line.
There was... Oh, okay, I've got 2 more lines. Okay, so the Enterprise crews decided they're going to do a ruse. So they go the screen to Geordi, and Geordi goes, believe me, they're nothing if not persistent. And then the Parklet captain goes, we want to be nothing if not persistent. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
High fives for that. That's great.
Yeah.
And then the last line. So it's an exchange between, it's like right after this. So it's between Worf and Geordi. And Worf goes, so this is when they're doing their like coded message to Geordi. And Worf goes, any classified weapons knowledge you share with your captors will be considered treason. And then Geordi goes, but what if I have no choice? And Worf goes, you will die without honor. And then Geordi goes, thanks a lot, Worf. And then Worf goes, you will never attain the 24th level of awareness. And Geordi goes, 24, huh? That's quite a challenge. And then Worf goes, indeed, 24 is the gateway to heroic salvation. Wow, Worf. This is like, I do like the thanks a lot, Worf, but
Yeah.
and it's just like an intense.
I think Michael Dorn had a lot of fun with those lines.
Oh, Worf is so, I love it. It's so good.
I love when Data goes, goodbye, Geordi. I will miss you. Weapon system analysis.
And then, okay, there's one other thing I liked, and it's so little, but I don't know. So when Riker is like, so when the Packlids are like telling them what they want like the computer information, they keep doing this like really intense low angle shot of Riker. I don't know. I just really like the shot. Like Riker just like, because I think at one point he just looks shocked and is like, oh God. But I don't know. I just like this low angle they kept doing.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to bring up was what the fuck with not taking Worf's advice or not listening to Troy?
I mean, to be fair, they never listened to Worf.
Yeah. But like Troy, they've always trusted her opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, it all felt very out of character for like, and to me, like Riker sort of seemed like someone who has made a point to like listen to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he
So
has.
this kind of like felt really out of character for Riker to just like disregard what everybody else said.
Yeah.
And just is like, yeah, well, Geordi, go on over, bro. And Worf being like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. And he's like, it's fine, don't worry.
Yeah,
Like,
Riker just seemed to be very annoyed dealing with the situation.
Yes.
Because he's just like, oh, I have to deal with, like, idiots. I think he was also still pissy that Picard didn't tell him where he was going, or why he was going to the starbase.
Oh,
And I took that personally.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on to predictions for the next episode. The next episode is called Up the Long Ladder. And with this episode, we're gonna go super old school with our racism because we're making fun of the Irish. Yeah. So basically, the Enterprise has to.
Wait, Maggie, can I sum this up real, like, in a single sentence for her?
Sure.
Okay. Irish farmers invade the ship. Go.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh boy.
Yeah. They have to deal with a colony of Irish stereotypes.
Oh god. If it's leprechauns, I'm gonna lose my mind.
No, they don't go that far.
Okay, good.
I mean, they're like half a step away, but not quite.
Oh god.
And they also have to deal with like a super advanced colony too. So.
Like those are two different groups then?
Yeah.
Or the same group? Oh, okay, two different. Okay. I almost feel like whatever I say is just gonna sound bad.
That's okay. So does the plot for the episode.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. Oh god. Okay. What can I come up with that's like?
Well, the episode didn't worry about that.
Yeah, but I do. Okay, what can I come up with that's like generic and can be I mean, to be fair, I am not super familiar with like a ton of Irish stereotypes, so I think I'll be okay actually.
Oh, you will be familiar with them.
I mean, there's a couple that I'm aware of, but no, okay, I'm not touching it. Okay. Okay, I've got one. I don't like this, but okay. So it's two, right? You said there's the like advanced and then the Irish. Christ, I hate wording it like that.
Yep.
Oh boy, that just sounds bad. So maybe the Irish are on the same planet as the advanced people and they don't like them. So they like maybe come up with like a fake conflict to get the Enterprise down, even though the Irish aren't doing anything, they're just living there. And so the Enterprise comes down and is like, we'll take you somewhere else to like be away from these people. And they bring them to a different planet so they can live without being discriminated and harassed, and there's no more conflict, and they can live peacefully.
Did you just describe the like goals of the Troubles?
Did I? I vaguely know what that is. Did I?
I don't think. No, isn't the Troubles like?
Isn't that in the 90s?
Protestant versus Catholic?
I don't know the details, to be honest, off the top of my head.
I just know what I've learned from the show Dairy Girls.
Oh, all right.
It's a great show, by the way, if anybody's interested. It's a really good show. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. I also love how, like, the Irish, they'll go through the most horrible shit and then call it something super casual.
Like the Troubles.
The Troubles. And then they had, like, what was it? I think it was, like, a tuberculosis outbreak. I can't remember, but it was like a disease outbreak, and it's just called the damp.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay,
yikes.
Okay, here we go. According to Wikipedia, the Troubles were an ethno-nationalist period of conflict in Northern Ireland that lasted about 30 years from the late 1960s to late 1990s.
Whoa.
Also known, yeah. It is sometimes described as an irregular war or low-level war.
Jesus, I didn't realize it lasted that long.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, honestly, it's kind of still going on. It's like a very, very unstable piece.
Yeah, because there's lots of, well, not lots of, but there's a good amount of, like, terror groups that have been trying to use terrorism tactics in order to get their voice out there. And the problem with that is that then, the government's like, all right, let's mobilize some troops, and, shit happens.
All right, so here's a touch more info on the Troubles. The conflict was primarily political and nationalistic, fueled by historical events. I'm sure there's a lot of history to go through it, but I'm not going to get into that. It also had ethnic and sectarian dimension. I don't know what that means, but But despite use of the terms Protestant and Catholic to refer to the two sides, it was not a religious conflict. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely
There are
flavor.
elements.
Yeah, there's definitely elements of that. A key issue was the constitutional status of Northern Ireland. Unionists, who were mostly Ulster Protestants, wanted Northern Ireland to remain within the United Kingdom. Irish nationalists, who were mostly Irish Catholics, wanted Northern Ireland to leave the United Kingdom and join a united Ireland. Yeah. So, there's, despite what Wikipedia says, there's no doubt that the religious aspect fueled it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's sort of a brief summary of the Troubles.
Very brief.
Thank you for coming to our Ireland corner.
Yeah. I think I don't doubt that there's definitely been people that want to kick the Irish out of their countries.
Yes. I mean, that happened in the U.S. for a time, too, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But now the Irish are considered white enough to pass, so it's not a problem.
Well, basically, it wasn't like a calculated plan. It wasn't like someone, sat down and was like, oh, we'll do this, right? But essentially what happened over the years is that Irish people kind of were granted whiteness in order for them to stop from creating solidarity with, black people and other visible minorities. Because it's if they combine their powers, so to speak, then they can disturb the status quo.
By your powers combined, I am racist America.
Yeah, they realized that Irish people didn't. This is based on historical conflicts. I'm not saying every Irish person hates black people, but historically they did not like each other. So the people in power kind of used that to their advantage, and eventually they were like, okay, we'll accept the Irish if it means being able to put down black people. And the same thing happened with Italian people. And the same thing sort of happened with Jewish people, where there's still a lot of it under the surface, but it's not as explicitly acceptable to not like Jewish people.
I mean, as after the
Depends
Holocaust
who you
happened,
ask.
Yes.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
Depends who you ask.
That's kind of what I was getting at, is that it's interesting because there's still obviously Jewish people still face a lot of anti-Semitism, but simultaneously they do have a lot of the benefits of white privilege.
I think what it comes down to is that after,
As long as you don't tell people you're Jewish.
Yes.
Yes.
After the Holocaust happened, it became less socially acceptable to outwardly be anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it became kind of a down low prejudice for a lot of people, especially ones in power specifically.
Yeah. It might not
And
have
it
been,
actually became controversial.
Yeah, it might not have been the right analogy, because I think the prejudice against Irish and Italian people is you'd have to dig deep for someone to be fuck the Irish. I think you don't have to dig that deep for people to be no to Jews.
Specifically, we're talking about this in a North American context.
Yes,
everyone.
yes. Yeah. And I don't want to get too deep into it. I might have, because I'm not Jewish and I don't want to misspeak. I might have already, but
No, you haven't. You're good. You're good.
all right. I just wanted to bring that up as a topic of how sort of that has shifted and why it shifted, why basically we don't discriminate against Irish and Italians like we used to, because basically we're okay, we will grant you the privileges of whiteness, so that we can continue to keep other minorities down.
We now grant you the title of white, with all the rights and privileges thereof.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is pretty exclusively a North American thing, because in Europe, like, they don't call themselves white. Like, each country and culture are, they have their own histories and everything. So they just are like, I'm, French, I'm Polish, I'm German. Like, that, there's just stuff within that. And that's
Oh, yeah.
how people identify. Here, it's, in the US and in some extent Canada, they just kind of like consolidate. They just
Yeah.
white.
I'm
That's not a
white.
thing anywhere. Like, maybe not. I'm not gonna say anywhere else, but in Europe, which is where like a lot of Europeans, if they're in the States or wherever, they become consolidated as white.
In the U.S. and Canada, the cultures don't have borders in the same way. That's why.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that Europe isn't racist. It is extremely racist.
Oh, for sure.
They just divide up their white people. over here they're like you get everything, but over there it matters what kind of white you are.
Party.
Yeah. Like there's I know in England there's especially a lot of discrimination against Polish people. Basically, Polish people are treated in Europe the same way that Mexicans are treated in America. That's kind of like that would kind of be a relative equivalency of like how they view them over there. I know this because I'm Polish, and even though my family was pro-Brexit, actually not weirdly because my family's conservative, but then Brexit happened, and then they realized that we have a whole bunch of family in England that now have to move back to Poland. So, party.
Womp womp.
Yeah, maybe think about things before you support them. Anyway, this got way off the rails because we're in the middle of a prediction.
I mean, I did my prediction.
Oh, right, yeah, you did.
Yeah. This is...
Yeah. They tried to expel the Irish from their planet, and then the Enterprise is like, we'll give you a place where
but I
you
think
can be
that
happy.
I think the advanced people came up with like a fake conflict though in order to be like, you need to take these people, they're behaving poorly and you need to get them away from us.
Maybe they label them as
Innocent people.
terrorists or something.
Oh no.
Well, if you want to see, watch along with us and join us next time for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.